Okay, first in our low-end tutorials is going to be about low-end itself, what it is and why we tend to have so many problems managing the low end. I'd like you to listen to this track first off. Okay, I basically just used a very basic standard drum beat, added some of my own little fills and things in there, created a bass preset using Massive, using Nephaton for all my 808 work. It's made by D16 and for me it is the best out there. It sounds exactly the same and works and behaves exactly the same. There are others, but this one's fabulous. And Battery by Native Instruments for drums. I love this particular product because I can just go to my browser, audition samples, and just drag and drop them across into cells. So I just created my own sounds here. Additionally, what I've done with these sounds is to run them through the cell effects and the master effects. So I've got saturator, lo-fi, and let's see, and some AHD adjustments. Basically, I wanted this really dirty kind of snare sound. When I start to do beat programming tutorials, I'll show you how I created that beat. It's not particularly exciting, but it was mainly a tutorial for how to use triplets and things like this to create excitement within a beat. We'll cover all that, don't worry. What is low end and why the hell is it such a problem? Well, low end tends to encompass quite a large frequency range. If you're using something like this, whereby we are just talking about sparse sounds like this, you can hear that these two, i.e. the kick and the bass, are sitting in a very specific frequency range. And what I'd like to do here is to go to the output and to drop in my favorite spectrum analyzer so we can look at what's happening here with these two. So you can see that the kick is already encompassing quite a large frequency spectrum, and the bass is sitting within the same frequency range. Now that leaves us with problems. What do we do? Shall we create a compressor and sidechain it to duck these two? Not really. If you look at the way I place these bass notes, they're sitting on kicks, so that's not really going to help too much. Not for short kick sounds like this. What we could do is sidechain it and remove some of the attack off this kick, i.e. slow it down, and that will allow the kick to sit through, but then you have a problem is that you won't get that lovely, that dirty attack sound. You hear all that glitchiness. Don't worry, that's part of the sound, it's not Cubase. So we now know that low end encompasses a frequency range, and predominantly you're going to have problems with things like basses, kick drums, and anything else that has low end energy. So you're going to have strings that are going to sit in your low end, and they're going to share the top end of your kick and possibly the top end of some of the bass frequencies. You're going to have the same problem with pianos. Anything that has its fundamental sitting anywhere near these frequency spectrums of the kick and the bass, you're going to have problems with. So low end really is about the art of managing low frequencies. What that frequency range is depends on the material that you're processing. For example, if I've got a lot of low end energy information in, say, a pop track, i.e. layered basses and big orchestral hits and things like this, then you're going to have problems. and you'll have to get into some very intricate management. Automation would be my first port of call before any compressors and things like this. But with simpler things like hip-hop, whereby it's quite sparse, the layers within the sounds are doing all the work, but the actual content is sparse. You could actually take a hip-hop song and break it all down into about 8 elements. But if you look under each element's layer, you'll see countless layers, simply just building and supporting the primary layers, which are the most prominent layer that we're after. So low end is really about managing those frequencies, and there are ways that we can determine them. There is a trick that I often use, and that is to use something like, I'm going to go back to my favorite, which is Pro Q2 for all my surgical work. If I play the bass, and we do this, the important thing is to make sure we haven't lost that nice attack that I'd created in massive. Now, I know I don't need most of this energy here. Make it quite extreme. And there's a reason I'm doing this, is so I can drag it and find out what we can cut out. I think it's nice around there. So I'm cutting out at 20 Hertz, 25 Hertz. Let's see if we can go to 50. That's all right, even at 35. You could extend this even further. Say to about 40. But I'm going to give it a little lead in time because I'm going to do other things to it. We can do the same here with the kick. If we load up the same EQ and analyze this, do the same thing here, create a low cut and drag it. Lovely. Now if I play the two together, I've still kept the prominent attack of my bass, and additionally I've kept the kick intact. I haven't lost from anything, and it sounds quite nice. The good thing about laying up two EQs like this is that you can actually move things around just to get different textures going. Sounds absolutely lovely. This is the most basic form. I'm not going to band pass this yet. We've covered that in other tutorials. I just want to show you how we can manage this area. Okay.